Hey guys, welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show where we give you all of the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Joining us, as always, is Jon Campea.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, coming to you from right here at the Collider Video Studios here in Burbank. I'm going to be my computer.
That guitar. House band.
A little bit of delay on the YouTube stream.
Also here, Jon Schnepp.
Damn it! We're off to a horrible start.
Hey, I love the haters of the future who are like disliking the show before it's even. I just became aware of this. There's actual nerds who can power forward into the future, hate on the show, and then come back before the show's even aired. You guys are beautiful.
What are your thoughts, Mark Ellis?
Well, that is correct. When we first launched the stream, there were 39 likes, which is great. Then there were 4 dislikes. So we want to know, what do we do? What can we possibly do before we start the show to make you feel better?
All right, with Fast and Furious 8 set to go into production later this year for an April 2017 release date, actor Vin Diesel has taken to his Instagram account to announce the dates for the next 2 installments of the franchise after that. Fast and Furious 9 will arrive on April 19, 2019, and Fast and Furious 10 will then hit theaters on April 2nd, 2021. Jon, do you think it was a good move on Diesel's part to release these dates, and do you think they'll actually stand up?
No, I actually don't think it was a good idea. I like the fact, and I've said this many times, I like the fact that Vin Diesel is so active on social media. He creates and maintains and nurtures a real connection with his fans on there, and his fans know that he'll be the first one to give information out. I think that's really cool. The reason I don't like the idea of him putting these dates out, now look, we know 9 and 10 are coming, and just say the year, because to the second part of the question, I am dubious that they're going to be able to keep those dates. A lot can happen, especially in the Hollywood machine, between now and 6 months from now, let alone between now and 2 years or now and 4 years, whatever from now. A lot can happen. Schedules change. So I get him wanting to talk about it and increase awareness, but because I think you got to be a little bit careful about whether you'll be able to stick to these. And I know you can go, well, you can just tell people we change dates later. Then what's the point of bringing it up now? I don't hate that he did it. I love that he's got such an active social presence. I just probably would have had him not do this at this point. I don't know. What do you think, Mark?
I'm sure the brass isn't thrilled that he put these numbers out there, and I think they would have been more upset if the last installment did Tokyo Drift numbers and instead didn't do what it did do, which is crush the box office in April, which, look, we know how the summer movie season has started to extend into the beginning of April, but say whatever you want as far as a comic book movie or outer space movie opening in April, Fast and Furious, that franchise, is going to be owning April for a while, and this was Vin Diesel trying to put his stamp on the month of spring. And so I like the move on his part. It's like, look, we're gonna not since the Easter Bunny first chuckled our Cadbury eggs into our heart has somebody dominated the month of April so thoroughly, and that's what they're trying to do. They're going to try to establish this well beyond maybe even Dom Toretto's run in behind a car in Fast and Furious.
By the way, the month of spring is my favorite month of the year. I just wanted to
the
point
month of spring,
absolutely my favorite month of the year.
Hip hoppity going on around there.
It's a month, it's a season, it's a lot of
I
things.
just personally wish Vin Diesel, instead of April 2nd for 2021, said April 1st. Because then it would have been funny. But I'm totally into him locking these dates down. That's him saying we're completely committed to seeing this like super saga all the way through. Before he announced this, he probably locked down all the other Fast and Furious, the friends of the Fast and Furious, all those other actors and actresses who are in the series. Lock them down. Look, you're not going anywhere. You're not doing anything for those 6 months for this year. And that year, here's a bunch of money. Everybody got paid. Everyone's like, all right, dude, 2021, that's like in the future. I'm watching like science fiction films that are from the year 2019. That's 2021. It's too far away. I can't think that far. Star Wars is too far away, and that's like a year from now. I can't think about dudes in cars jumping around and stuff. So whatever. I'm glad at least he announced it. I'm like, look, we'll see it when it happens. I think they'll make it. They'll make all those dates. Why not? It's dudes in cars.
Yeah, I mean, as a fan of, I like watching the movies. I don't take them that seriously. I'm not like lining up months in advance. I'm not going going on Fandango to buy my tickets to go.
Let's
now.
theorize what episode 10 will be
I
about.
just don't care that much. Like I personally think it's a little stupid to be like, oh, don't worry, in 2021 there's a movie I can go see. Like I get it, but for him, I understand why this makes sense. It's a great career move. Those are the movies that not just him, but like Tyrese and Ludacris and everybody else in those movies needs to be in to keep their careers relevant and be on the front of movie posters.
Mark, it all ends in 2021. On April 2nd, the saga ends.
Well, no, it ain't going to end. As a matter of fact, I mean, the studio's already talked about how they're, not only do we got 8, 9, and 10 coming out, they are going to do spin-offs, and there's even talk of a prequel.
Wow.
And all this kind of stuff. I don't know if they'll get Paul Walker's younger brother to come back and play Cyborg Paul Walker. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do, but who knows? But we are not done by any stretch of the imagination with Fast and Furious at this point. All right, what's next?
Well, speaking of the Fast and Furious franchise, series co-star Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has also taken to his Instagram account to reveal this picture announcing the writers of his upcoming video game adaptation of Rampage. In the post, he says the following: "Cool news! We just hired Carlton Cuse and Ryan Condal, creators of Colony, to write our big screen adaptation of Rampage for New Line. Carlton also wrote San Andreas for us, so he excels at writing big scale with family and heart as the anchor. If you were a fan of the video games like I was, then you know how badass and fun this movie can be. I'll try not to screw it up. Shooting begins late this summer, #Rampage. Pictured is the Rampage team, same team who brought you San Andreas. Director Brad Payton with the dope fade haircut. Producer Beau Flynn with the Grizzly Adams beard. Carlton Cuse, the constant intellectual with the glasses, and some bald tattooed brown man who occasionally smiles. Mark, what do you think of them basically reteaming the team behind San Andreas to make Rampage?
It makes a lot more sense than it does to have that many words in your Instagram post. It's so annoying to see a picture, then you got to keep clicking for more caption. But with news like this, I at least understand it, because San Andreas was kind of like Fast and Furious. It was dumb fun, but I enjoyed it for what it was. And so when you want to take that premise and combine it with all the monsters you're going to get to see in Rampage, yeah, it's a no-brainer. Those guys, if they can crank out that script, they certainly can do a lot of things with Rampage. The Rock seems passionate about this, and even more so than a guy like Vin Diesel. The Rock is a guy who I trust as far as him putting his weight and his clout behind a project he really believes in. So yeah, this makes sense.
You think that's too much text for an Instagram post?
It's a lot.
It doesn't matter what you think. Okay.
He walked
right into it.
He was
I
like
can't
that monster.
believe it.
I walked right into that because I was a little nervous, because in the middle of my spiel, I saw you look at me pissed off, like I said something wrong, like I did another, the month of spring kind of situation. And so I was like, okay, Campea is clearly going to correct me because something I did. And so I ended my thing, and I looked over, and then you dead. Oh my God, that was great.
Oh, and hey, by the way, before I forget, clearly that picture that we have up is not the actual picture that Dwayne Johnson put up on his Instagram account, because you don't see all those guys he's describing. I like it. We were talking about this in our pre-production meeting just a little bit. Think what you will about San Andreas. I and a bunch of other people kind of thought that was just a nice, fun time. It was a fun movie. Was there great thespianism? No, or anything like super deep plot? No, but I had a lot more fun watching that movie than I thought I would when you take it on the level that they meant for it to be taken of. And I think if you take that exact same mentality and that exact same recipe, if you will, and take it from a San Andreas and put it onto something like Rampage, which is obviously going to be pretty ridiculous and all that kind of stuff, this is a good fit. So sometimes you hear about the same director and writers and actors all working together, and sometimes it makes you roll your eyes. But in this situation, I think it's a real nice fit. So yeah, it works for me.
So I spent so many quarters in my youth playing Rampage, and I loved playing Kong, or I was the Godzilla, and occasionally I'd be the werewolf, but I didn't like playing the werewolf that much because I was like, the werewolf doesn't grow to that size. It's stupid. So anyway, so much fun destroying buildings, eating people from their innocent buildings, and destroying the army men, helicopters. I want all of that. I cannot wait to see this movie. I love that video game. Knowing that The Rock is doing this, and it's the same kind of fun stupidity that San Andreas was, because it really was. It was a lot of fun. I went in like, I'm just going to see this dumb movie, and I enjoyed it. So I take it back. It's not a dumb movie. It's an enjoyable, crazy summer adventure. It had The Rock. It had Daddario. It had crazy action. I got to say, I really actually enjoyed it, and I think that this is a perfect combination we've been talking about video game movies and how can you get a good video game movie. This is an old school arcade video game movie from the stand-up generation. And this sounds really fantastic. To have this team of creatives involved, to have The Rock, making sure that it's going to have that level of action. I can't wait to see buildings get destroyed, people get eaten, smashed. And then remember, everybody turns into a weird, after if you depower them, they shrink into a human and run away.
Right,
So-
and King Kong was in it, but Godzilla was not. Is that correct?
No, Godzilla was in
is
Godzilla.
it.
There was
Esque.
what do they call it, Lizzie or
Yeah,
something
it's
like that
Lizzie,
in the
there was
game?
like Kong, Lizzie, and then whatever the
And
werewolf
then just a
name
werewolf
was.
running
just
around.
a giant werewolf of the
May
same
or may not have
size.
had nards, as Monster Squad
Yeah,
taught us.
It was a giant. though.
Yeah. Okay, but that's not the picture.
No,
That's
the
not-
one
Where's
he-
the picture?
it
doesn't matter where the
Oh!
picture is. Woo!
that's act no.
It was close.
But A for effort.
Thought I'd make an effort.
Hey, man, you get
Hey,
an A minus from me. I think it worked.
The Rock is getting into a pattern where he likes working with the people he likes working with. Because if you go back to San Andreas, not only is he now reteaming with the director and writers from San Andreas, he's also reteaming with one of his co-stars with San Andreas, with Alexander Daddario, in Baywatch, that he's also
That's right,
shooting
that's
this
right.
year at the same time. So apparently he liked his time on San Andreas.
You're right. So you get Baywatch next, and then Rampage comes out. Hopefully, I typed in Rampage release date to see when it comes out, and all I got was the 2016 Dodge Rampage, which is not something you should name a vehicle. By the way, that sounds
So
dangerous.
Rampage? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, folks, we reached that part of the show now for buy or sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Ashley's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down. Then those of us at the table are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Ashley, what do we got?
Sony has just released the first trailer for the upcoming Miles Davis biopic, Miles Ahead. The film is the directorial debut of actor Don Cheadle, who also stars as the title character in the film, along with Ewan McGregor. The film tells the story of a lost few days in the life of Miles Davis, Cheadle, the virtuoso, fighter, and genius as he bursts out of his silent period, conspires with a Rolling Stone writer, Ewan McGregor, to steal back his music and relive the years he had with his great love, Frances Taylor. Schnepp, buy or sell this first trailer for Miles Ahead?
I totally buy it. It's exciting to see an actor that great, Don Cheadle, doing a passion project and taking the full reins of it. I mean, Miles Davis is an incredible musician, and to see him taking kind of like have a little bit of fun with it, because he's like talking about the lost days, which gives you kind of carte blanche to write whatever you want and kind of throw all the things that you want to say about Miles Davis into those lost made up days. So I'm looking forward to this.
Mark?
I had shades of the Steve Jobs movie that came out because, and I buy this trailer, by the way, because when you see this, it feels like they're going to do something where they're going to show you the entire scope of this guy's life, but it's all going to take place in a few days. Maybe get flashbacks or stories or however you do it, but this period, particularly in Miles Davis's life, was a turning point for him. So to see that and to see all of the passion that Don Cheadle can bring into playing Miles Davis, an absolute musical legend, I can't wait to see this movie. Now, plus, I mean, you throw Ewan McGregor in there too, but Miles Davis, Don Cheadle playing him is the reason why I want to go see this movie. Anything else is icing on the cake.
I'm generally not really big on biopics about musicians, but this, to me, this trailer reached out and grabbed me by the throat. I freaking love this trailer, and I'm a huge fan of Don Cheadle as well. Seeing Ewan McGregor in there was really nice, but it's not just, see, sometimes musical biopics just come out and say, hey, look, we're going to talk about your favorite musician. The story actually looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit of a weird heist element. There's tragic elements in it. The story looks good. As a matter of fact, I remember about 30 seconds into the trailer, I realized I'd forgotten that this is a true biopic, based on the life of a real guy. And I just thought it was just a really good movie coming out. And then I shocked myself back and said, no, this is like the real thing. So I huge buy for me. I just love this trailer. And it's going to be interesting to see. I always get really curious when a really talented actor tries their hands at directing. This is his first directorial debut. And sometimes it works great. Clint Eastwood, Ben Affleck, whatever. A lot of times it doesn't work out so well. So I think, though, this trailer's a great start.
And it comes out, I think it comes out in April, right? Which is the month of spring. Yeah. So it's a little early for like Oscar baity kind of stuff, but that's what I got watching this trailer. So I don't know that it's going to have repercussions as far as award season next year, but it looked like it would just from the trailer.
All right, what's next?
As was briefly discussed in yesterday's live Twitter question segment, it was announced that actress Elizabeth Banks has been cast to play the villainous role of Rita Repulsa in the upcoming Power Rangers movie. The screenplay for the film was written by X-Men First Class and Thor writers Zach Stentz and Ashley Miller, and is currently scheduled to hit theaters on March 24, 2017. John, buy or sell Elizabeth Banks joining the Power Rangers movie?
First of all, that's a great picture of Banks in the Rita outfit, headgear. Well Well done, Ray. I gotta buy it, and for those of you who've been watching me, this is really strange for me because I do not buy even the fact that they're doing this movie at all. But gotta call it like you see it, and this is a good move, and this makes me a little bit more interested in the movie and curious in the movie. You bring an actress of this caliber in, she can do funny as well. So I think clearly you're going to bring in that type of an actress to do that type of role. I mean, I'm not thrilled that they're using the Rita character, but if you're going to, using Elizabeth Banks in there is great. And I gotta say, this is, for me, the first spark, I'm just going to call it a spark, but the first spark of optimism I've had for this project. So I have to give it a buy, Mark.
I was going to say great minds think alike because you and I are seeing this thing the same way up to a point, because I still don't have a spark of optimism for the project. I just think that Elizabeth Banks is the perfect person to be playing Rita Repulsa because, I mean, I didn't know who she was. I didn't grow up watching Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I just didn't care about it. And so I did my research. I looked at pictures of her, and it's like, yeah, that is Elizabeth Banks should be playing that person. If that person needs to be in this movie, then you should get Elizabeth Banks to play her. So I will buy the casting of Elizabeth Banks. It still isn't enough to get me to think, maybe this movie could have something to it. It just, I just don't care. You have to really sell me on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers being a movie, and other than that cool YouTube video, which I don't think you like that much, that was the first time I was like, oh, you can do something neat with this. Then they scrapped that entirely, so I just can't get excited for the project, but Elizabeth Banks is great.
Schnepp, has my spark of optimism lit a flame that has engulfed you as well into this fire of optimism?
Absolutely not. I sell this. I sell this. Rita Repulsa? What kind of name is that? I love Elizabeth Banks. Cash that check. Cash it right now. I think you got so many other roles that are going to be awesome. This is not one of them. Power Rangers. They should have went with the Joseph Cone, whatever that Power Rangers reboot, reimagining, whatever you want to call it, because that was at least exciting, fun. I don't know, man. This is, unfortunately, if you like the Power Rangers when you were little kids, maybe this might be some kind of nostalgia bath you could bathe in and be like, oh, look, it's all stupid again. Whatever. I sell it.
All right, what's next?
Guardians of the
You
Galaxy
quenched
director
my spark of optimism.
James Gunn is busy getting ready for Guardians 2, which starts shooting just 1 week from today, but took the time to release this new image of the cast at rehearsal prepping for the new film. In the image, you can see Gunn, Zoe Saldana, Chris Pratt, Dave Bautista, and Gunn's brother, Sean Gunn, who also plays the Ravager Kraglin as the stand-in for Rocket Raccoon. Mark Byers saw Gunn releasing images like this on social media.
Oh, it's a huge vibe, man. Guardians of the Galaxy is all about fun. You can tell the cast is embracing, even at this early stage, what this movie is going to be about. It's one of those things. It was such a great outer space adventure the first time around. So to see them back together, and I like that we get a little bit of a behind the scenes as to how Rocket Raccoon interacts with the rest of them when he's not Bradley Cooper's voice and a bunch of CGI over it. So, I mean, look, there's not a lot to go off in this picture other than that, Dave Bautista is still shredded. Chris Pratt is still in really good shape. Zoe Saldana looks amazing. And yeah, I'm totally in. I'm excited.
It's fun to see pictures like this and knowing, I coined a phrase a while ago, the tangibilization of things, and knowing that they literally start shooting this movie next week. It has moved Guardians of the Galaxy 2 from the theoretical to, no, it's real. And then you see these behind the scenes pictures. And look, James Gunn's brother, Sean is his name, right? He had, and Guardians of the Galaxy is filled with great one-liners throughout it. But to me, he had the best line of the movie that probably made me laugh the loudest. Captain's got to teach stuff. That line killed me. And then I didn't know until later on when I was watching behind the scenes stuff that he actually also did Rocket. It's just that Bradley Cooper came in later and did the voice. So I think that's really cool. Obviously, we don't see Groot there, so that's totally fine. But I love this picture. I love that they're about to start shooting. I'm really starting now to get excited for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 again. So for me, it's a buy.
Yeah, I totally buy this picture. And for all you sweaties out there, if you get a high-res version of this picture, I bet you there's some Easter eggs because Pratt's holding a cassette tape It's probably volume 2.
Oh, awesome mix.
And then look at that
Yeah.
script. What are there any written
Wait, who's
script
holding a
notes?
cassette tape?
Chris Pratt. Isn't that a
He's
cassette
got a
tape?
coffee cup in his hand.
It's a coffee cup?
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe there's a mixtape in his pocket.
I'm like, because it's not
Maybe it's
high-res
retro
enough.
coffee.
It's retro coffee with. If you drink it, you hear the music. It's liquid music, guys. If you watch Metalocalypse, you know that's real. Well, you could drink music now in the future.
That is very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the script, maybe it's got notes, or maybe I'm just making it all up. Whatever. I'm still excited about it.
All right, what's next?
It's time for Rewind.
And this is the part of the show that makes us feel old. We look back at the films celebrating their 10th anniversaries this week, and of course, their 20th anniversaries this week. Starting off with the films turning 10 years old this week, we have Something New and When a Stranger Calls. And celebrating their 20th anniversaries this week, I can't believe this one, man. Black Sheep turns 20 years old this week. The Juror, and of course, White Squall, the great Ridley Scott film, according to Jon Schnepp. So, Schnepp, let's start with you. Which of these films stand out to you?
The only one that I can actually remember seeing is Black Sheep. That's it. I mean, I never saw White Squall. I remember seeing the trailer. I was like, I'm not going to see that. Bunch of dumb dudes hanging out on some boat. Forget it. I've had enough of that. And then The Juror, I'm not going to see that. Some weird, stupid courtroom drama. I'm not going to see. I just remember, like, I saw the trailer and I'd be like, I'm not seeing that. And the other two, I don't even know that they existed. Something New is like something I didn't know existed. And I already forgot the other one.
When a Stranger Calls.
When a Stranger Calls,
I think
right.
it was the reboot of
Yeah, I
the
never
classic.
dialed back. I was like, threw the phone away. So the only thing I remember is Black Sheep, and I remember laughing, but I also it's melded with Tommy Boy. So I can't really separate those two movies. Like, I think of scenes and I'm like, is that from Tommy Boy? So all the scenes that he's in a like a weird factory messing things up, that's Tommy
That's
Boy.
Tommy
That's
Boy.
Tommy Boy.
At Callahan Motors. Yeah.
Okay. So then everything else is Black Sheep.
Well, seeing as you pulled that out,
Yeah.
is it redundant to ask you which of these films stand out to you?
It is Black Sheep, but for a very different reason than Schnepp, because I do see the clear difference between Tommy Boy and Black Sheep, because Chris Farley was just not in as good health-wise shape in Black Sheep, and you could clearly tell that. He was on a decline that unfortunately would be one of the signs that he was not doing well with his addictions and would lead to his untimely end of his life. And it was so sad to see that happen, and Black Sheep was just a harbinger of, oh man, is it just going to be him and David Spade trying to just show up on set and make stuff up as they go along, because Black Sheep just had nowhere near the comedic value that Tommy Boy had. Tommy Boy is still a classic 90s comedy, and Black Sheep just was not. It was a huge miss, and I felt awful for Farley because I still believe to this day he's one of the funniest people that ever walked the face of the earth. So anytime somebody that talented is in a movie that just doesn't hit, you just feel bad all over, and you're disappointed.
Yeah, that is one of the things that stands out to me about Black Sheep. Though I think Black Sheep had some redeeming qualities to it. It was clearly the inferior stepchild to Tommy Boy,
Yeah.
which was hilarious. And one of the many sad things of the early passing of Chris Farley was that I believe if he could have gotten healthy, and I don't mean lost all of his weight, but just gotten healthy, at least to a healthier state like he was in Tommy Boy, whatever. I think him and David Spade could have had a very long career. They could have been a new Abbott and Costello, really.
Yeah, totally.
They had such fantastic chemistry together. Like, and even in kind of a dud-like movie as Black Sheep, the chemistry between them, you can still kind of feel it, And I think they could have had a long career. I'm not saying like made 50 movies together, but I bet you they could have made 4, 5, or 6 movies together. I think they all would have been great. So yeah, that really stands out to me
So
too.
what we're all trying to say is go right now and watch Tommy Boy. That's
Yes,
what we're trying to say.
If you haven't watched Tommy
Yeah.
Boy, by the
See
way,
that movie.
see Tommy Boy.
Or watch Farley on SNL. I mean, again, like he's in my top 5 SNL cast members of all time just on that show. He's just a comedic force,
And
the likes of
who-
which we will never see again.
Who doesn't have in like their top 5 favorite SNL skits of all time? Chris Farley, Patrick Stewart, Patrick
Swayze.
Stewart,
Yeah,
Patrick
Swayze. I'd pay to
Swayze,
see that
Patrick
too,
Stewart too, doing the Chippendales dance off is
Hilarious.
one of the funniest things Saturday Night Live has ever done. All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show now for Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on the show, you can email us anytime at collidervideo@gmail.com. Now, for those of you watching us live, after we do the Mailbag questions, we're going to save a little bit of time for you guys to ask some live questions via Twitter. Just simply jump on Twitter, make sure you're following us at Collider Video, and tweet out some questions, and Ashley will pick out a few at the end. But for now, let's get to the questions we picked out in the mailbag. So, Ashley, what do we got?
Julie Soto writes, "Hi, Movie Talk crew. I'm a huge fan of the Coen brothers and almost all of their movies, so you can imagine my excitement about Hail Caesar. I was just wondering if you guys have had a chance to see the film, and if so, what did you think? Thank you, and keep bringing on the filthy. Love you, Ashley. I love you, babes."
Yeah, as many of you know, Hail Caesar, I can't remember exactly where on my list. It was in my top 10 most anticipated films of this year. Absolutely. I loved the trailer. So it was with great enthusiasm and excitement that I went to go see it last night. Clearly, you can tell, pardon me again, from the trailers that this movie is kind of designed to be like a love letter to classic Hollywood cinema. And on that level, it knocks it out of the park because they do little tributes to the old westerns, to the musicals, to the like Roman epics, to all these different types, and they do them really, really well. Unfortunately, and I think this is what I told you, Mark, when we were walking out of the theater, I said it feels like they were so intent and so focused on making a love letter to classic Hollywood that they forgot to make a good movie around it. And so, like, I didn't walk out hating the film, not at all, but understanding that it was like one of my 10 most anticipated films of the year, to me, it just lacked. Like, the trailer set up this story. I'm going to give no spoilers away. The trailer set up the story that George Clooney gets kidnapped, and that's the story of the movie. And essentially, that is the story of the movie, but it's so weak and has such an unsatisfying ending, and it's just, it doesn't go anywhere. So you have all these great kind of set pieces throughout the movie that have no real cartilage connecting them, because that's what that main storyline is supposed to connect it all. And when that part fell flat, I just walked out disappointed. Not a horrible movie. I'm not going to tell people not to go see it because it's got a lot of redeeming qualities about it. It really does. So take my reaction with a little bit of grain of salt because my anticipation was so high and it just didn't really come anywhere near the anticipation. One other thing I got to point out, and I hope you don't consider this a spoiler. This isn't a story point. But in every poster and in every trailer, you see Jonah Hill. Heads up warning. Jonah Hill is in one scene in the movie and I think has 4 lines. That scene you see him in the trailer, that's the only scene and it's not a long scene. And then he's not in the rest of the movie. Like, not in the rest of the movie. Imagine if Luke Skywalker had been on every poster for Star Wars and in every trailer, and then it turns out you got what you got in Star Wars the First. It would have been outrage. I mean, obviously, people weren't lining up around the corner just to go see Jonah Hill in the film, but still, that felt a little misleading to me. But anyway, Mark, you saw the film with me last night. Your reaction?
Well, it's the first time I've heard Luke Skywalker compared to Jonah Hill. That was pretty good. I was not disappointed by this movie because I didn't really have any expectation going in. It was shocking to me to see the reaction of my fellow comrades here at Collider Video that were just so excited by the Hail Caesar trailer. I get the name the Coen brothers and I get all the talent involved. Just watching the trailer, I was like, it looks like a pleasant time of the movies. I'll chuckle a little bit. I'll see some cool old Hollywoody kind of stuff. And that's what I got out of this movie. Josh Brolin as a Hollywood fixer was my favorite part of the film. He's taking you through the movie. All these other side adventures, I just didn't feel like they went anywhere that I needed to go. I didn't care about seeing those. But I do agree with John that the Coen brothers do something really special in most of their movies where they get a lot of credit for being great writers and genius wit and all that kind of stuff. But they put in a few scenes that are just so visually stunning and so much fun to watch that it just leaps off screen. And it's like, I didn't expect that. It doesn't necessarily add to the story that the movie's telling, but it's really fun to watch. So I think if you're in the theater, you can enjoy watching this film. I just wouldn't get that jacked up for it because I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, after these guys have crushed my dreams, 'cause I haven't seen the film yet. I love the Coen brothers movies, except I could pick out 2 and be like, these ones I didn't like, but their body of work is incredible. Now going in, so I'm going to see it this Friday, going in knowing what to not expect a great story, but to know that there's a series of scenes that, like, go back to like a Barton Fink or a Hudsucker Proxy. Some of those moments in their past films where they're like kind of exploring what it was to be like in the behind the scenes of Hollywood. Knowing that that's going to be what the film basically is, I'm prepared for it. I'm going to go in with medium expectations, and I'm hoping I come out digging it.
Can I ask you what, because I know you love the Coen brothers, but you said you're not a huge fan of all their movies. What are the movies that stand out to you that they just kind of missed the mark?
Intolerable Cruelty is my top one, and then coming in a close second is The Man Who Wasn't There, which I like the first hour, but then once they go to trial, it just kind of falls apart, at least for me. But every other film, from Raising Arizona, Barton Fink, Hudsucker Proxy, Fargo, I mean, those guys, The Big Lebowski, just amazing roles, as well as just, they just wrote Bridge of Spies. They're very diverse. They could write a lot of different things. So I'm looking forward to this film. But now I know what to expect.
Just adjust your expectations a bit. All right, what's next?
Tom Rourke writes, I watched a video recently about the Oscar categories, and one of the things the video suggested was having an award for Best Ensemble Cast. I'm not sure whether it would be a good idea, but there are some films, such as Spotlight, in which the entire cast are so good together that for me, it doesn't seem like one particular actor shines over another. At the same time, the introduction of an award like this could result in a situation where the Academy are giving out too many Oscars, thus devaluing their importance.
Yeah, you know what? Every once in a while a question comes, hey, what do you think about making this a category at the Oscar? What do you think about making that a category Oscar? And I'm often in favor of taking out some guy, like Best Song. I think that needs to be taken out of the Oscars completely. But that's just me. But the notion of Best Ensemble, I can get behind that. I can actually get behind that because when you get a group of actors on screen, to get them really to click well together and to get that to mesh and that whole ship moving the same direction, that is a special thing. Now, the SAG Awards do give out an award called Best Ensemble. That's kind of their Best Picture award in many ways, and that makes sense. But you look at a film like Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. It has the record for most Academy Awards. It won 11 out of 11. It was nominated for 11 awards. It won 11 awards. Not one acting nomination, though. And I was actually cool with that because I thought individual actors in the categories I thought outshined whatever. But if there had been a Best Ensemble Cast, I would have easily given it to Lord of the Rings because the cast, they just all melded together so well. And you bring up a perfect example of Spotlight. That cast they just move as one. I mean, it was so cool to see. It was fantastic that way. So for the first time ever, I'm going to say I am in favor for the addition of a new category at the Oscars, Best Ensemble Cast. I'd be for it. So what do you think?
I'm not for it. I was stuck for a while, and then the end of Tom's email was like, I said, yeah, you know what? I think it does devalue the Oscar just a tiny, tiny smidgen. Look, if you want to give the cast a spotlight, an Oscar, and give each one of them an Oscar, that's like 5-6 people. I'm cool with that. But if you're talking about giving to a movie that's already won 11 Academy Awards, Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, how many Oscars do you have to give out?
38
for the Best Ensemble. Are you kidding me? Like, it seems like it's too many Oscars, first of all, to physically make. Second of all, it just feels like the Oscars, I don't love when art becomes competitive, but that's what the Oscars is all about. And so the individual world, and if you have an ensemble award, it's kind of like, oh, the movie was really good, we liked everybody in it, then you know what? Give it a nomination for Best Picture, and that's what they already have.
I think, before we get to ensemble, we need to deal with other Oscar categories like casting directors. You don't have an ensemble like this without the casting director actually picking these particular talents to all blend together and become such a great movie like Spotlight. And that's something that has never been honored.
And you don't hear casting directors thanked a lot either.
Even
when
when
producers
yeah.
that's and I got this knowledge from an amazing documentary that I saw a few years back. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even realize how important a casting director truly is to the entire makeup of a film. So it's like, I want to see that person or that group of people who are casting directors honored first before we get into giving more awards away for actors, though they do deserve it. And an ensemble makes the entire film so much better. So I'm also 100% into doing an Oscar for an ensemble piece like Spotlight would definitely deserve it. And you'd see those 5 people get Oscars for all working together, And that, I don't know. I mean, I agree with you. It basically is Best Picture because you're kind of awarding the producer and the writer and the director and the cast. That's Best Picture. But if maybe the direction wasn't that great, but I love the actors, then it gets weird. So is ensemble good? No, I don't know.
All right, guys. So I said we would save a little bit of time to take some of your live Twitter questions, and we're going to do that right now. Once again, make sure you're following us on Twitter at Collider Video. So Ashley, what have you picked out today?
The Lone Wolf writes, what is your favorite movie character of all time?
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take Star Wars out of it, though. So Luke Skywalker and R2-D2, sorry, you're off the table for this one. And now I have to think a little bit. The first one that leaps into my head is Marty McFly from Back to the Future. I mean, I wanted to be him when I was a kid. I still do to this day. And there's nobody else you could have put in that role. And believe me, they tried with Eric Stoltz for 3 weeks that would have had the same magic as Marty McFly that Michael J. Fox brought to that role. So as much as I love classic heroes like Indiana Jones, or as much as I love villains like Darth Vader or even Jaws, Bruce, I got to go with Marty McFly. I think is my favorite on-screen character.
What about you, Schnepp?
Boy, my favorite on-screen character. That's a rough one because, I mean, I'm not one of those people. I don't come up with like my top 10 because there's so many different subdivisions. Like my favorite superhero character is Batman. My favorite science fiction character might be Ripley from the Alien series, or Deckard from a one-off like Blade Runner. So it's really hard to. I just don't have that. I could lie. I could say Darth Vader because I had a poster of him when I was a kid and I liked that character. There we go. There's a good lie. Darth Vader.
If it wasn't a really good lie, you told him you were lying.
Yeah, I know. That's
not
how,
how lies work.
I know, but I don't like lying, so there you go.
Hey, who broke this
suck
lamp?
it.
Mom, I'm going to lie to you. I didn't break the lamp.
I did not break it, even though there's shards of glass embedded in all of my body.
I will do what you did, and I will say, okay, I'll take Star Wars out of it. And I will go Juan Sanchez Ramirez, Sean Connery's character in The Highlander, the original Highlander. Not Highlander Part 2,
Nice.
but he is amazing. How Sean Connery's playing a Spaniard, I'm not really sure. But he's so great in that movie. That original is one of my all-time favorites, so I'm going to go with that.
I'll throw another one in there, too, is per screen time. Well, like if you do a pound for pound kind of thing, Beetlejuice is not on screen for that long in the movie Beetlejuice, but literally every time Michael Keaton is on screen, he's so magnetic, he's so funny, he's so scary. Perfect performance.
Yeah. I like his performance in Night Shift, too. Remember?
Him and Henry Wakefield.
Feed tuna mayonnaise. There
It's
you
got
go.
a lot. What's the one with the Japanese cars?
Oh, it wasn't the Squeeze. Was it Gung Ho or
No, it was Gung Ho.
Okay, yeah.
And then there was the one who was coming out of the insane asylum, which is the special team,
the Dream Team.
the Dream Team, which was
Yeah.
great, and of course Mr. Mom, and of course he's done a whole bunch
Man,
of
that
good
little
stuff.
Batman movie was great too.
Yes.
Side roll. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
Jai Patel writes, how did you pick the music for Movie Talk, and have you ever considered changing it?
It started a long time ago. I just needed a piece of music, and I purchased a piece of music, a royalty-free piece of music, and then later at AMC we decided to take that and commission a musician to compose something that was kind of loosely based on that original music we got, but we actually had then re-recorded and kind of changed up a little bit for us. So that's how we came up with it. And I would consider changing it, but not in the immediate future.
I like it, man, because it's because a lot of people watching Movie Talk to start their day, to get, to rev up, and it's not like this hard, wake up call, like, wow, but it's like, it's just a nice, it's relaxing.
Hey, Movie Talk, what's up? Instead of Movie Talk. You can have a whole bunch of different versions, but I like the.
I think I'm gonna. Poison's not very busy today, are they?
Let's call Poison.
I'll just call it Poison. So
Yeah.
can you
Not
do a
Poison
rendition
Control.
for
Wait a
us?
second. Whole place is shut down. I just dialed it. It was a mistake.
Ain't looking for nothing but a movie talk.
Oh.
How can I
complain?
resist?
Oh, resist or complain. Got 2 lyrics now.
Damn it, Schnepp!
What? Let's get in sync.
All right, what's next?
Not in sync.
Not
the band.
in sync. The band.
Jesus Christ, what's happening?
Movie Talk. Aaron A. Fry writes, which movie scared you so much that you screamed like a little girl?
I got it right off the top of my little girl mind. A Nightmare on Elm Street. I saw that when I believe I was 14, and I used to just go to I was a geek, so I didn't have a lot of friends. I would go to the theater by myself on Fridays and see whatever opening movie. Usually it was a horror film or a science fiction film. And I happened to go see Nightmare on Elm Street the weekend it opened, and 2 girls from my high school recognized me, and they were like, "Hey, Schnepp, can we sit next to you?" So I was like, yeah, sure. So I had 2.
Was that the scary part? Was
No.
it next to the girl?
No, I was like, that was the awesome part. I had 2 hot chicks right next to me, and I was like, yeah, I'll protect you from this movie. And I was a little baby woman, a child. And women are way stronger than men, so I don't want to degrade women by saying like, my female is my wussy man baby, poop in my pants, cry baby man style child man emerged. And I was like, I can't handle this. He could get inside your brain. And the girls were like grabbing on my arm and ripping into my skin. But that wasn't the scary part. I believed that Freddy Krueger was going to get inside my head. And I was like, I even told the girls, I was like, I don't know if I could stay for the ending. I'm getting freaked out. They're like, you're not going anywhere. So saw the entire movie, had nightmares that night. And the next day I had nightmares. It was so awesome because I love having nightmares. But man, was I a little wussy man child?
That was such a nice walk in Jon Schnepp's shoes. So were the girls as scared?
Not as scared as me. No, I was a wuss.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you bring up Nightmare on Elm Street because Nightmare on Elm Street 3, I was never afraid of Freddy Krueger. I always thought he was hilarious. It was a great concept. And then, he cracks one-liners and stuff. But the nun in Nightmare on Elm Street 3, I won't tell you who she is in the plot, but she's somebody very, very important. She just kind of shows up at weird moments. She's a nun wearing the away uniform, like the all-white habit. It's so freaky to watch. But the movie that gets me every time, it's still very hard for me to get through, is The Exorcist. It's mind-boggling to me that a film made in 1973 can still hold up effects-wise and be as scary as it was when it came out back then. I had so many sleepless nights as a youth because I watched The Exorcist and I just would not do myself the favor of closing my eyes. Scariest part of The Exorcist, there's so many of them.
Demi, why you hate me, Demi?
It just starts to like blink and go like really quickly, and you see a demon's face for like, and it kind of looks like Darth Maul, and it is just terrifying.
Pazuzu.
I've
Demi,
never
why you
screamed.
scared to Alice? Come over here, Alice. Why you so
when he
scared
turns into the mom?
Why you hating me, Alice? Come over here.
I've never screamed at a horror movie, but don't confuse that with a lack of terror. Like me, when I get really scared, it doesn't show on the outside. It all goes inside, which I think is even worse because it just starts to rip you to pieces. And for me, and it still is today, it's the original American Werewolf in London. With the first, I to this day I cannot watch that movie with the lights off. I just can't. To me, I don't know why. I'm not saying it's the greatest horror film of all time or anything, but I have never had a horror film freak me the hell out like American Werewolf in London does, and it still does today.
That's
What's
a
the
comedy,
psychology
that's
of
comedy
it?
horror. That's another reason I think it
Yeah.
is successfully so scary, because there are so many funny moments in it, but then it would just get you. It would get these scare moments.
And American Werewolf in London just made me feel like this is something that could happen to me one day. Like I could just get scratched incidentally, then turn into Rick Baker's genius makeup. But at least you had the laughs every so often in there. But the whole time you're laughing, you're like, I'm not going to sleep tonight. Oh, God.
All right, what's next?
Brian Howe writes, in honor of Deadpool, what is your favorite movie that breaks the fourth wall?
Ferris Bueller's
Well,
Day
yeah,
Off.
Ferris is that's one
Starring
of the.
Jon Schnepp.
I'm breaking
Yeah,
the
that's
fourth
right.
wall
You're
right
in
now.
one of the
I'm in the
scenes.
dance scene at the very end. Was a Shake It Up Baby. Look it up. Somebody found the picture and
Yes.
and blew it up, and you can see my weird dumb head, like cure hair with a little shave, like dancing. Whatever. Check out that movie. It's awesome.
I'm going to go with two films that came out recently because they're at the forefront of my mind, probably, but The Wolf of Wall Street and The Big Short. They're talking to the audience for a little bit. The Big Short has some very clever ways of getting information across to the audience in a manner that is digestible to us, particularly the males. And it's just something that I feel like as a device in movies like that, when you're dealing with the stock market, there's a lot of numbers coming at you very, very fast. To have somebody explain it to you in a charismatic manner, I think, is brilliant.
Yeah, and I was thinking about The Big Short as well because, well, the first thought obviously is Ferris Bueller's, but then was The Big Short because when Ryan Gosling will turn to the camera and go, like it just makes it so effective when he turns to the camera and go, okay, this what's about to happen, this really happened. And then it goes, like it just added that extra. It was a nice little device by Adam McKay to throw that in there. So yeah, that worked really
And
well.
also, don't forget Goodfellas. That's like another one that's like, it's easy to forget, but it's actually, he's talking to the camera the entire time. It ends with him like, and this is my life now. Like I'm big. I get the
narrated,
paper. Yeah, it's narrated,
yeah.
but it is breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah.
You see him talking to the camera.
All right, what's next?
Jonathan Peck writes, what movie do you think will have the TV spot during Super Bowl 50? I think they might have Ghostbusters and Independence Day 2.
I think they've already announced Independence Day 2 is going to be there, and I don't know about Ghostbusters. I haven't heard. I don't know. I mean, a little piece of news dropped today that they're saying that there will not be a Rogue One spot for Super Bowl. I was really, I mean, if I had to put money on, I would have bet that they would have had a Rogue One
These
spot
guys
at it, but they're
convinced me
not.
yesterday that I was wrong in saying Rogue One wasn't going to happen. So I was like, oh, you're right. But now I was right.
It turns out, I think,
I'm not happy I'm right.
As
I
long
would
as they're
love to have
being
seen it.
honest about it, it makes such good sense for them to do it, though, at Super Bowl right now. But apparently they're not ready to do it, and Disney will not do anything if they're not ready to do it, and I respect that.
How many months out did they drop that first Star Wars?
1 year.
1 year, and we're like,
I
now
mean,
10
we're-
months.
Yeah, but that's The Force Awakens. That's Star Wars coming back into the main, you know, consciousness of everybody. So I understand why they did that teaser that early. Right. I still think the Super Bowl is a great landing spot, but I agree with the writer. I think Ghostbusters might be one of the surprises you will see, and that makes a lot of sense because it's a summertime comedy. So I know Disney's bought ad space for the Super Bowl. but that also probably means Captain America, the Civil War, is going to be something you'll definitely see. You're definitely going to see Independence Day because, let's face it, Independence Day, it's a fun, silly movie. They're whores. They want to be on everything you can possibly be on. They want to remind you that spaceships are once again coming to attack us. And Batman v Superman, I think, would be, if I had to bet on one horse and nothing else, Batman v Superman, simply because it's so close to the release date.
I would love to see a Doctor Strange teaser, just because that would, like, all the people watching Super Bowl usually aren't comic fans, so they don't know what a Doctor Strange is. So they know what a Captain America is now, but no one knows what Doctor Strange is. So it would be I would bet money that Marvel would put at least a teaser. You see Benedict Cumberbatch like walking with like crazy lasers or whatever. He's in another universe. I don't know what they're going to do, but I want to see that.
And they're going to do they're going to do Deadpool. So they've already confirmed that Deadpool's
Yeah.
going to come. So that's going to be interesting. All right, 2 more questions.
All right, James Markin writes, why do you guys think Power Rangers will suck but are geeking out over other superheroes?
First of all, don't call Power Rangers superheroes. Okay,
Blasphemy.
That's
and it's not right or correct.
No, that's totally
and you're
different.
stupid for thinking that.
That's I'm not going to go as far as my esteemed colleague on my left, but look, I think there is a spark of hope there. I mean, everybody's very conveniently forgetting that the last Power Rangers movie to hit theaters was a monumental bomb. And that show was stupid. That's just my opinion. I mean, that's taking nothing away from you. If you were one of the people who liked that original Power Ranger stuff, there's nothing wrong with that. That's awesome that you liked it. I encourage you to like it if you liked it. But my personal opinion, you're going to just have to get used to the fact that other people have different opinions, is that I thought it sucked. And so I don't have a lot of hope for it as a format coming to the big screen. But I've always said, right from the day that they announced that stupid movie, I've always said that there are things you could do. Because while I did not like that online Power Rangers reimagining, that I didn't like it, but what it did do was it introduced us to the notion that, you know what, you can take Power Rangers and there's 50 different ways you could do it.
Right.
And I do believe there are approaches they could take with a Power Rangers franchise that is not totally similar to what the TV series was, that could be pretty cool. I'm very encouraged by the casting of Elizabeth Banks, but look, it's great if you are looking forward to it, but you have to at least acknowledge why there are people like a Jon Schnepp and a lot of other people who have nothing but pessimism for it. You've got to at least acknowledge why they feel that way. So I don't know, Schnepp, how would you say?
Let me say this: like, I'm glad you like Power Rangers and say they're superheroes. They're super heroic. I'll say if Power Rangers was going to adapt something like Battle of the Planets / G-Force, however you saw it or whatever you called it, where you saw it, that kind of Voltron-esque kind of thing with the kids, the spaceships, all this kind of stuff. That, to me, when I watched that as a kid, I loved Battle of the Planets. I loved, which I found out later was G-Force.
Jason, Mark, Princess, Keop, Tiny.
Yeah, dude,
and
you
the
nailed
Phoenix.
It. Yeah!
With one button. One missile launch button, just
Thank
a big
you.
red button that they just keep hitting.
I regained so much respect even after you said you had that spark of hope with Power Rangers. By you naming off all of the with Keop as well, which is that's a tiny. Come on, give this man a round of applause right now. That's amazing. I couldn't have done it, but that's what I'm saying. Not to be the pessimistic jerk face that I'm being right now, saying fuck Power Rangers, but I'm not saying F Power Rangers. I'm just saying, like, look, I'm not that excited about it. I don't care who
I
they
like how you
cast.
say the word and then you censor
Just
yourself.
I'm saying F Power Rangers, but I'm not saying fuck Power Rangers. What I'm trying to say, I'm glad they got Elizabeth Banks. She's super talented. If they keep making announcements about this, eventually I'll probably get that spark that you got, where you're like, I might want to see this. Depending on what they do with the Power Rangers, it just missed me. I missed the boat on the series. I never got into it. It's like these high school kids who become these weird dudes in spandex who then form a robot or whatever. I like Ultraman. I like Battle of the Planets. So if they could get that sensibility into this, maybe they'll get my dumbass to enjoy it. But I don't count. You guys might love Power Rangers, and you should enjoy it. What you want is a really good Power Rangers movie. I just don't know if they can keep that 80s mentality. What do you think?
Well, we don't know if they will or not. And here's the other thing to keep in mind, too. Let's keep this in mind. Going into Fantastic Four, we were all pessimistic at first, but then they start announcing casting, and then they start announcing who's writing it and all that kind of stuff. And we started going, I know I did, started going, you know what? I am buying in.
Yep.
Well, look how that turned out. But in the Power Rangers defense, this movie, in this project's defense, they've got a couple of really good screenwriters on. The people who wrote X-Men Days of Future Past, or not Days of Future, X-Men First Class, the original Thor, which is one of my favorite Marvel films still. Yeah. So now you got really talented writers on. You're bringing in Elizabeth Banks. You know, I'm starting to get a little bit of that warming up like I did to Fantastic Four. Now, will it still turn out like Fantastic Four? I was like, should never have warmed up to it. I don't know. But, I mean, there is that there, too.
Look, when news and information comes in here, we try to break it down and digest it in a semi-intelligent form. But sometimes it just goes back to you put all the science aside and you're just like, is it something that appeals to me? Whether it's because it was something you caught when you were a kid or something that really strikes you as an adult. As a child, I loved Ninja Turtles. And as an adult, if I was just coming into meeting the Ninja Turtles, I don't know if I would care about them or not, but I would give my life for them because I grew up as a kid watching that cartoon and playing with those toys. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, it just didn't hit me when I was a kid. I just thought it looked stupid, and I'm sorry about that. It just, maybe it was the production values were weak because it was a half-hour TV show. It just didn't fit for whatever reason. Same thing with comic books. I would pick up X-Men and love it. I could pick up Youngblood. I could pick up Shadowhawk and love these things, but then I pick up Fantastic Four or Deathblow, and I'd be like, it's probably not for me. It's just something about how it strikes you, and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, to me, has to win me over. It's not something like Ninja Turtles where I just give you the benefit of the doubt because I've loved your previous efforts. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, you're starting already, you're in golf terms, you're +2. You got to make a couple birdies just to make me excited about you, a lot like what Fantastic Four was able to do, and then I got in the theater, and we know how that happened.
All right, last question of the day.
Okay. Michael Sanders writes, what do you think of the idea of bringing back Gumby to the big screen?
Gumby, damn it.
Gumby.
He sent this question 5 times, so I have to ask it.
I love that if you've ever seen, I mean, this guy's probably tripping balls right now writing the question. Gumby is the most psychedelic series ever made. It is a trip. If you've never seen Gumby, just go on YouTube right now.
Hey, Mr. Bill.
Type up Gumby, and I dare you to watch like 4 of them without feeling like you're on acid.
Oh no!
They're really strange. He's talking about Saturday Night Live. That has nothing to do with Gumby.
Come on.
Gumby, no, that's Mr. Bill. Gumby is just bizarre. Like
I'm Gumby, damn it.
They would float around like this. It's scary the way they travel. They just float around like that. It's weird.
But Gumby is like one of those things that it's still in the public consciousness in some degree
and
by
Pokey,
some
his horse friend.
Yes.
Pookie or Pokey. Yeah. I think what's going to happen is you might see Gumby pop up in a big screen film of something else. Like make a funny cameo in a Lego movie, in an Angry Birds movie, in a Trolls movie, in a Pez movie, but in an Emoji movie. You have all these silly movies that are coming out where it's like, well, why wouldn't they take a known property like Gumby? I don't know that kids are aware of what Gumby is, but if you do the market research, I would not be surprised if you saw somebody say, hey, let's redo Gumby in a modern age and just make it a funny, silly cartoon in the vein of something like we're going to see with Angry Birds.
The answer is no.
Well, I'll see myself out.
But, oh my God. Look, if you haven't checked it, look up some old Saturday Night Live stuff Eddie Murphy do. Like, absolutely do what Schnepp just said and look up Gumby proper. But then look up Eddie Murphy doing Gumby.
Sure.
It's
I'm
like
Gumby, damn it.
Gumby, damn it. He was so good as that.
I mean, you talk about Chris Farley being one of the great SNL. Eddie Murphy is the greatest cast member in Saturday and the most important in Saturday Night Live history. And Gumby was just one of the many things that he touched and turned to gold.
Kill my landlord. Yeah, Eddie Murphy is the magic man. I would love to see some kind of weird fusion of a Gumby. Make it animated, but make it freakish and psychedelic and scary. It could almost be like a horror movie, like somebody waking up in a cold sweat. I just dreamt of him again, like Freddy Krueger, only it's Gumby. He's inside your brain. That could be scary.
I still think I'd prefer Mr. Bill.
Mr. Bill would be awesome, too. I would love to see Mr. Bill.
All right. That'd be very morbid, though. All right, folks, that'll do it for us for this installment of Collider Movie Talk. Thank you so much for joining us. Listen, don't forget, lots of great films playing out our friends over at AMC Theatres. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for all of your theater, showtime, and, of course, your movie ticket information. I want to thank the guys sitting at the table with me. First of all, sitting to my left, Mr. Jon Schnepp. Schnepp, where can people find you online?
Oh, don't walk over there, Mr. Bill. What's happening? Oh, no. You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, just at Jon Schnepp. Get my film, The Death Superman Lives, What Happened, by going to tdoslwh.com. Check me out on Fat Man on Batman this Friday. Got to hang out with Kevin Smith and Mark Bernandin. It was really fun. I'll see you guys later.
And of course, sitting over here on my right, celebrating a birthday this spring the 5th, Mr. Mark Ellis. Mark, where can people find you online?
You can find me practicing for Easter morning online at Mark Ellis Live, Twitter, and Facebook. I'll be tweeting out. They gave me a promo code at the Comedy Store this weekend. I'm there Saturday night in the main room, so I'll tweet out what the promo code is. You get discount tickets to come see your boy do some stand-up.
Where are you this weekend?
The Comedy Store in Hollywood, Sunset. You going?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to come check you out.
What day is it?
Yep.
Campea's going, everybody.
What day?
Saturday night.
I'm going
I
to pretend
invited?
I'm drunk, and I'm just going to
All right,
heckle
yeah.
you
Okay,
like
I'm
all
gonna
night.
go there. I'm gonna give him Fireball whiskey the whole night, and I'm getting Campea drunk on Saturday.
Not the-
See us there.
Not the one I'm worried about. The one I'm worried about, getting too drunk at the show.
Little me.
Damn.
Me? Why would you ever think such a thing,
You
Mark
can outdrink
Ellis?
all of us,
Because
dude.
beneath that veneer is a level of mean I think
frat bro in
humanity cannot
college.
see. And of course, on the end, our lovely host name is Ashley Mova. Ashley, where can people find you?
On Twitter and on Instagram and at Mark's comedy show on Saturday
Yeah.
at Ashley Mova. Happy Wednesday, guys.
And do I get 5 minutes if I come?
You get, yeah.
And of course, you can follow me on Facebook and on Twitter simply at Jon Campea. That'll do for us, guys. Thanks so much for joining us from the whole crew here. Special thanks to you guys for being here. Make sure you jump into the comment section below and leave your thoughts on any or all the topics we discussed here today. That'll do it for us, guys. So until tomorrow, bye-bye.
Channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider. Hey guys, if you like this video,